Welcome to Vibe Querying with MCP, the show where we don't just query data, we vibe with it. I'm Jared, the one asking, how does it work?
And I'm Marie, the one asking, what does it mean for the business? And before we jump into today's episode, we're going to give a brief explanation of the technology that we're working with here.
Yeah, so it all starts with Model Context Protocol, or MCP for short. MCP is a standard protocol that is designed to connect AI models to external data sources securely and efficiently. It's going to enable AI agents, AI clients to access real-time business data, tools, and workflows, allowing any user or any agent to interact naturally with their data through conversation.
And we use that protocol with CData MCP servers. And today we're going to have a special twist and use our MCP server technology with our Connect Cloud product, which we'll explain in a minute. But what this allows us to do is to connect LLMs, Claude, your favorite AI, to your business data. So your Salesforce, your HubSpot, whatever business source you'd like to work with AI, we can do. And so we have 350 connectors, which again, we'll explain more about, but that's what you'll see us use in today's episode.
Yeah, and so that brings us to this idea of vibe querying. Vibe querying is like vibe coding, but instead of writing code with natural language, we're doing some analytics with natural language. So, having a conversation through your chat client to explore your data. And so now you can kind of bypass intimate data schema knowledge. You can bypass pre-built data pipelines or even familiarity with SQL. And be able to just chat with your data using the CData MCP servers and your favorite LLM.
And so that gives you an idea of what we're working with. And for today's episode, like all of our previous episodes, we'll dig into a use case of that technology. So seeing that in action. And for today's episode, we have a special guest who is Mike Albritton, our SVP of Cloud here at CData. Welcome to the show, Mike. Are you ready to vibe?
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. So today's episode is titled Vibing for Product-Led Growth. And we're going to spend our time analyzing product telemetry, hopefully to inform some product design and improvement for a product-led growth experience. So Mike is going to be asking questions of our Google BigQuery data warehouse as a head of product. So taking the point of view of a head of product. So at this point in the show, normally I would showcase downloading and installing a CData MCP server, but as Marie alluded to, we're actually using a preview of the remote MCP server that we have for our Connect Cloud product. For anybody that isn't familiar, Connect Cloud is our SaaS offering. It looks like a database in the cloud, but on the back end, it's using that library of 350 plus connectors to access live data from any data system that you have set up. So Mike, if you want to go ahead and pull up your screen, you can show the Connect Cloud interface and show what it looks like to connect to BigQuery from there. And then we'll have you open up Claude and we'll start asking some questions.
So this is the interface for CData Connect Cloud. So I'll start off by showing you the dashboard here. This is where you come when you first log into the application. And to use Connect Cloud with Claude, you'd first need to set up a connection to your data source. So as you can see, I have lots of different data sources set up here already. We're going to be using the Google BigQuery connection, as Jared alluded to earlier in the talk. I'll show you real quickly how easy it is to set up a connection. You can click Add Connection, and then you get that huge library of connectors that we support here. You can select one, let's say Marketo. And here's where you would set up your credentials to be able to connect to your Marketo connection. And you would provide whatever credentials you would need to connect to Marketo. In this case, it's a URL, client ID, and secret, but it could be a sign-in button where you authenticate through OAuth. But once you set up your source, then you're ready to hop over to Claude. And so I have set up an environment here today that we're going to use a certain project, Vibe Telemetry. And so this, I've prompted it with a little bit of information about what we're going to be doing today. So I have given it some special instructions. First of all, this is a demo. So I'm going to tell it to obfuscate some of the data so that it's not real data that we're using. And then I'm also giving it a little bit more information about my source. So in most cases, if you're connecting to a standard source like Salesforce or NetSuite, Claude is going to know a lot of details around the context and the metadata of how to query the source. In this case, we're querying Google BigQuery, and some of the tables and columns are very customized for our specific use case. So here I'm providing a little bit more information to Claude so that it knows what the data looks like and how to access the data that we need here. It would likely be able to figure this out on its own, but this helps it execute a lot quicker and faster to get to the solution.
Yeah.
Great.
That's cool. Yeah. So one of the things that we've seen, because we've been working with like Salesforce and Google Analytics, these SaaS applications, a lot of the metadata in those has some sort of description for the table, even a description for the column. But since we're talking to just BigQuery, the only information it's really going to have is the table name and the column names, which could be super obscure. In this case, I think our data team has done a decent job of naming the columns and naming the tables, but the instructions that Mike provided are going to be similar to what we showcased in our mini episode with Jacqueline, where you can provide even more information and get a better experience. So a little non-vibey action to make your vibing even more comfortable.
Thanks, Jared. Yep. So again, I've set up a project for today for us to use. So I'm going to go select that in Claude. I'm going to select this telemetry project. Now I have a prompt that I've already written that I'm going to paste in here. And what this is doing, this is focused on our product-led growth initiatives. And so to provide a little more background here, we've been working with consultants and we've actually spent months and months of lots of weekly meetings with a cross-functional team. So we have our marketing team, our product teams, engineering teams, and sales teams all meeting to really focus on building a better product-led growth PLG experience for our users. And so, wanted to see if Claude or if AI can help with a lot of the conversations we're having. And so really the focus that this team is working on is finding out what the aha and habit moments are for our users. And so aha is really where the user first experiences success with the tool, and then habit is when they obviously just sort of start creating habits around the usage there. And so I'm connecting Claude to our telemetry, and I'm asking it to find what those aha and habit moments are for our trial users using data from the last month. And so I give it a little bit of instructions here about what aha and habit are supposed to mean. And now I'm just going to see what it can come up with.
So this is personally exciting for me because every episode so far, Marie and I have both engaged with a special guest before we record. And so I get to watch Marie see these questions pop up for the first time. So Marie, I'm curious, what questions do you have? What insights do you have for Mike?
I think the commentary that I was going to add was, I have also been part of this project with Mike, and trying to answer these questions, what is the aha moment, what is the habit moment, is actually really hard, and spends a lot of time trying to sort through our data to identify what these things are. And so I wasn't in the prep, but I did get a preview of the results of this. And I know that, what Claude produced at the end of this is pretty awesome. And kind of can help any team, especially a product team trying to achieve this, move a lot faster on these questions and get, a great direction to start working towards and to start building into the product for a PLG initiative. So I have a little bit of a sneak peek, Jared, but I'm still excited to see how Claude sorts through this.
Yeah. So while it's asking these questions, one of the things, I am the one who wants to know how it works, is one of the things that I love about Claude in particular is that it shows you the queries that it's building. And fun fact, there was a brief window of about 4 or 5 days where that feature was turned off for some reason. And then it got turned back on. And there was much rejoicing on the Claude AI subreddit when somebody showed that it was working again. But Mike, while this is running, can you just scroll up, just a little bit and grab one of those query datas and expand it? And let's just take a look at what it's building out based on the question that it's asking. So it's analyzing telemetry data from the last month. So this is the very beginning. It's getting data samples to understand the current user activity patterns. So Mike, can you like walk through like what some of those fields are in that query?
Yeah. So in this one, it's saying, great, now I have a good understanding of the data structure. Let me start analyzing the telemetry data for the last month to identify the aha and habit moments. And so it's getting some data samples to understand the current activity patterns. And so it's essentially, looks like it's going through getting, the time, the number of queries. Our sort of system is very data centric. And so it's analyzing those queries that users are making. And it's analyzing, it looks like it's analyzing the amount of time those queries took to execute. It's looking at whether or not they were successful or not. So it's looking at the error code to find out if they were failed or successful. It's doing some grouping there and ordering to get the data in a particular format. And this one's also interesting. So it's analyzing a couple things here, which I didn't really give it, specific instructions to analyze the types of personas that people are using, but it did go look into the survey information. And so it's looking at, our surveys, ask users questions around, what type of role they're in, what department they work in, what they want to achieve with the tool. And so it's asking for some of that information as well. And so it looks like it's finished now, or it's done analyzing, and it's giving us a synopsis of what it found. And so based on my analysis, I can help you identify the aha moment. It found, let's see, the most critical moments occur when users successfully retrieve data from their first connection within 12 hours of sign up. The habit moment is established when users perform 23,000 queries across connections over 2+ weeks. So essentially the habit is happening when those users begin doing it over and over and over. The aha moment definition represents when trials first experience core value of Data Lake Pro. Based on the telemetry patterns, I've identified these key indicators. And then it goes into the primary aha moment, the secondary aha moments, which is interesting, and then the habit moment definition as well.
I love it when Claude overachieves. So not just one aha moment, it's two.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it goes into the segmentation by engagement, which to me, that's where it gets really interesting. It starts understanding which types of personas are the most successful, using our product. And so that can inform the marketing team of where they want to focus to find more of these users for us, which is great. And again, like I didn't ask it to segment these users, but it overachieved, as Marie said, and went and found those. Critical success factors. And again, it kind of breaks down which ones of our connectors are the most successful for users, what types of client tools they're using to connect to their data. And then it also makes these recommendations. So what we can do in product to help improve this as well, which is also interesting.
And I think when we did this before, I thought it was really interesting that you never defined aha moment or habit for Claude. It just was able to understand what you meant by that and be able to apply it to this analysis, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. I like how it also went off the rails with the obfuscation, and it's even obfuscating the name of the product. So like, it's not calling it Connect Cloud, it's calling it Data Link Pro, which is, I mean, it is following the instructions, but that's pretty funny. So what's next? What do we want to know now, Mike?
So to me, it's great to know which of these users are the most successful using the product. And I know it sort of alluded to what some of the recommendations we can do, but I'd like to take it a step further. So let's see if it can give us more, detailed analysis of what we can do to improve the aha and habit for users. So I'm going to just type a quick query here, a question here to ask it to do that for us. Can you more detailed
So Marie, do we already have some feedback for Billy on future campaign ideas around Connect Cloud?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I think I was waiting for Mike to finish typing, but I mean, the last analysis was consistent with what we have done on our own.
Right.
And so as you vibe query, I think, if I were watching the show, I'd be like, oh, that's great, but is Claude hallucinating all this and it just looks nice? But I think that, and Mike, I'm curious on your take, like what it just came out with from that previous analysis, took us, again, a long time, consultants, a lot of data analysis to come up with the same thing. But Mike, what's your take there?
Absolutely. I mean, it took us months and months to define what we believe to be the aha and habit moments. And I would say that, some of the aha and habit moments that it recognized are even better than what we came up with. And when I say months, I mean, we meet weekly, we talk about this stuff very frequently. And so, being able to come to a solution within minutes is certainly, very helpful for us and can save us a lot of time.
Absolutely. All right, let's see how Claude did on question 2.
Yeah, and this one is interesting because it actually used some of the data that it had from the previous question, and it didn't need to do more analysis. And so sometimes it does ask for, try to go back and analyze it more, but it looks like it got enough information here, which is interesting. So immediate actions, a smart connection wizard. So it looks like it's suggesting we have a very curated experience for certain types of personas when they're setting up connections within the product. Pre-built query templates. So this is also something that's interesting. Something that we've been discussing is having some predefined templates, so customers don't need to start building queries and building out templates. Goes into some technical implementation. Second one is guarantee meaningful first data retrieval. So data volume validation. Sounds like when customers query more data, maybe they're more successful. So trying to help them get there is what it seems to be suggesting. Prioritize queries that return business critical data. So having curated data sets for different personas, then it gives us some metrics to track that. Department-specific onboarding optimization. So again, sort of focusing on those specific types of personas, and it looks like finance is where it started. IT. So it sounds like some of the bigger groups of personas that we're seeing are in the finance, IT, and marketing departments. And then for habit, progressive engagement ladder, have goals for users, which is also interesting. We've tried having some sort of version of this in the product, but I think certainly we can look at doing more here to support day 1, day 3, and day 7 initiatives. Email notifications. So it looks like it's coming up with a lot of different strategies we can look at to help improve this through the tunnel. Error rate recovery.
And this is a lot of suggestions, so thanks, Claude. But how do you, Mike, as a product leader, like how do you read this, and how would you think about taking this forward?
Yeah, so again, as you said, there's lots of different things here. What we try to do with this PLG motion is to make experiments and test the success of those. So the way that I would look at this is to try and figure out, what we think is the most high value ones, or could be the most impactful ones, and start with those and try to have small experiments and of course track the metrics as Claude mentioned above, some of the metrics that we should be paying attention to see how successful they are. That would be how I would approach it, Maria.
Awesome.
And then I have one other question I wanted to ask it here. I think it mentioned somewhere in there about emailing the users different topics to help them in the funnel. So let me see if it can help us draft some of those.
Yeah, going back to classic LLM usage, right? Getting content creation that you can then tweak instead of having to write everything from scratch. But now, thanks to the MCP server, it's not just creating this content in a vacuum. It's got the context of all of our telemetry data to build off of.
Yeah. And so again, it's going straight into the solution here without needing to go back. As Jared said, it has the context of what data is necessary to be able to answer that question. So
that's great. I know Jared and I, as marketers, are big fans of this capability.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the placeholders, right? Like from the technical perspective, like that first email having sample queries, for them to try to submit, as an often Connect Cloud user, having something that I can go into the Explorer and just submit to actually see results would be really meaningful.
this is an interesting one it picked up on too that we didn't even get into is the multi-source magic. So with Connect Cloud, you can set up connections to lots of different data sources, and it can query data across different data sources to get to that conclusion. In this demo, we just used Google BigQuery for our telemetry data, but we could connect it to Salesforce and accounting system and other things to learn more about our users and get that 360 view. So certainly there's a lot of value in us communicating that to users.
Great.
That's
all right,
awesome.
Mike. Anything else you wanted to show us today?
I think that's it. I mean, I think, you can see how powerful, and again, it's saved our team lots and lots of months and trying to get to some of these answers that we try to answer, manually going through data and building dashboards. And so this is certainly helpful for us.
Awesome. Well, I think that is a wrap on today's episode of Vibe Querying with MCP, and a huge thanks for you joining us today, Mike. It was very insightful and love to see it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see to get random Teams messages from you in the near future with more insights that you're gaining. So we also want to say thank you to everyone who joined us and watched today's episode. If you want to see what your data is saying, you can download one of our free beta MCP servers from cdata.com/solutions/MCP. Or if you're a Connect Cloud customer, we've got an open source MCP server for Connect Cloud. It's in our GitHub. So it's github.com/cdata software. You can clone that repo, build it, run it. It's got all of the instructions that you need for installing it with your Cloud desktop and getting things going just like Mike did here.
That's right. And you can also come hang with us in our Vibe Querying subreddit or in the CData community. We're talking queries, insights, and all things data.
So until next time, stay curious and keep vibing.